While exploring downtown Boston, just outside the Shamrock Tap House, you can find a little boy named Donnie Kowalski standing on the dock looking out to sea.
Where did it go?
You saw something out there?
Did you see it? The big eye in the water?
Slow down, son. Start from the beginning.
There's a sea monster in the harbor. I saw its big eye poke up out of the water and look around.
Sea monsters aren't real.
Well, I saw it. It was an eye and it looked right at me.
You're a liar. This is probably some scam to ambush me.
I'm not lying. Don't you think I'd come up with a better story if it was just a trick to ambush you?
Where did you see it?
Over there, behind all those shipwrecks. It keeps peeking up out of the water. Hey, do you think it's dangerous? It hasn't attacked anyone yet, but maybe it's just waiting.
Who knows? Just in case, don't go swimming out to it.
I bet it's hungry, but it's been waiting for a bigger meal. Now that you're here, it's gonna charge up and try to eat us. Except you're going to pull out a gun and shoot it dead, and then we'll be covered in blood and guts and stuff. That would be awesome.
You want it to attack us? That's nuts, kid.
Yeah, 'cause then I get to see a cool fight.
Have you seen more than just its eye?
Nah, just the eye stalk, like some bugs have. Every once in a while, it comes out of the water and looks around, like it's hunting for something. I bet it wants fresh meat, like us. Only then you'd have to kill it and leave its dead body here all bloody and stuff. That would be so awesome.
That's quite an imagination, kid.
I didn't imagine it. Honest. Go see for yourself.
Anything that big has gotta be dangerous.
Shit! Really? Think it wants to eat us? That would be so cool. Then you'd have to kill it and leave its guts all over the docks. That would be awesome.
I hope nothing attacks us.
I just want to see you kill it. That would be awesome.
Snuggled between some boat wreckage, you do see something moving up and down, but it's hard to make out exactly what it is. Now you can swim on over, or if you're wearing power armor, you can use your jetpack, and if you do, you get a bird's eye view of what this thing is, and you begin to make out that it's a submarine. The murkiness of the water makes it hard to see, but if you swim around, you can see missile launch bays and propellers. The eye that Donnie saw was actually a periscope covered in seaweed. You can enter the submarine by opening the hatch right next to the periscope. Inside, we find a ghoul dressed in a uniform. He approaches us.
I watched you talk to a boy on the dock. Swim out here.
He's watching you too. Thinks you're a sea monster.
Had hoped he'd get bored. Leave. I need no one seeing my Qianting. A submarine. My beautiful Yangtze. I could have killed him. Easy. But I do not think that way. Not anymore.
This is a Chinese communist. You, as the sole survivor, are over 200 years old, and you are one of the people that this man was sent to Boston to kill. You can respond with hostility.
Commie bastard. You destroyed my country. Die!
In which case he attacks you, saying some variant of "die capitalist pig" in Chinese. If you kill Captain Zao, you gain access to his unique uniform, the Submariner uniform. This is the only one there is in the game. You also get his unique Submariner hat, but you can get this off the first mate as well, whom we'll talk about later. But Zao certainly sees the war as being over and he's not hostile. You can explore more peaceful dialogue options.
Who are you?
Zao, Captain of the Chinese Navy. I sail the Yangtze-31. This Qianting. This submarine. My beautiful boat. Speak harsh words of me if you must. But my Yangtze, speak of her with respect.
You're a ghoul.
Ghoul? Like Jiangshi? Monster. No, I am Zao. Zao from China. Captain of my beautiful Yangtze. This Qianting monster.
I'm not a threat to you. Just curious.
Curious cat gets murdered, but no fear. No murder. No Wei Xian. Not from Captain Zao. Why are you here? War is over. Long over. And my Yangtze holds no Baowu, no treasure. Nothing for you to plunder.
Just trying to figure out who you are. No plundering, I swear.
Pirate or raider would have attacked by now. I accept your gusher as truth.
All right, you got me. I'm scavenging for supplies.
Honest answer. Zao appreciates your truth. 谢谢. As you can see, there is little of value here.
Have you been here for 200 years?
It has been that long? 是的, yes. I suppose it has. Long ago, just after the fire, Yangtze struck our mine. My Qianting barely made it here into harbor. City already in ruins by then. Few noticed us. Fewer cared. Too much tongku.
It looks like this man is the one responsible for all of the destruction in Boston. This man created the glowing sea. He destroyed downtown Boston. This man ignited the fire that the sole survivor sees and is almost blinded by as he or she is entering Vault 111. I can imagine that the sole survivor would be struggling with a lot of conflicting emotions in a moment like this, but we don't get very many of those dialogue options. Zao clearly regrets what he did. He was just obeying orders, but the world that he has helped usher in is clearly not something he's proud of. He just wants to go home, back to China, to see if anyone's still alive.
Your arrival is good Xingyun for me. I need help, you see. Yangtze is not seaworthy. You will help me fix her?
Why would you trust me? A stranger?
Trust is risk. But a man must plow with oxen he has. You are not like raiders that board my Qianting, my Yangtze. You show peace. 谢谢.
What will you do with the submarine once it's fixed?
I sail for Zhongguo. Return to China, where I belong. My jia. My home.
What will you do there?
Anything Zao can do. If China is gone, I will build, house by house. And if no houses can be built, I will die. My jia. At peace.
You can go to hell. You're part of the enemy that destroyed my country.
That is sad. Unfortunate. 不行. I hoped that after 200 years, we could forget past hatred.
I'm at your disposal.
Yes! Thank you. 谢谢, my friend. But first problem. Yangtze has no power. If we get reactor working, probably enough. There is damage to a dampening coil. Bad damage. Need new coil. I have information. Intelligence from wartime. Dampening coils are at a facility called Saugus Ironworks.
What about the nuclear fuel?
I have idea for that. But first, dampening coil.
Why haven't you repaired the Yangtze yourself?
For long, I was happy to stay here. Of late, though, I've been thinking of my Zuguo. Of China. Also, my Yangtze is not safe. Raiders come. I have fought them. But I fear leaving her alone to get what I need for repair.
What's in it for me?
Money. 现金. American money. From before. Still worth something, no? Worthless to me on Yangtze.
That's all you've got?
Wealth is like dung. Useful only when spread. I have some bottle caps too. New money for your new burned America. They are yours as well.
I'm gonna need more than that.
You force me to make ultimate decision. Sad decision. Maybe 遗憾. My sword. Sharp. wondrous gem. Sword of Chinese officer. It is yours. If you help me.
He needs your help. His submarine is crippled, but he thinks he knows how to fix it. Now, if you've already been to the Saugus Ironworks, you likely already have the dampening coil in your inventory. If not, you can go back to Saugus Ironworks and enter the blast furnace. You find the dampening coil in the very bottom.
I already have the dampening coil from Saugus.
Fortune favors us both, it seems. Now all we need is one thing. Nuclear fuel.
Where are you gonna get that?
Now that is the right question to ask. 200 years ago, I launched all of Yangtze's high-yield nuclear missiles, as ordered. For 200 years, I have lived with that guilt, that shame. So much fire, such bay, but one missile failed to launch. You must go down. Remove the warhead. Then bring it to me.
Why don't you get it?
Because I have different tasks. While you are getting warhead, I will prepare the reactor. But now I must warn you. There is danger. Wishen. Old crew. Still down there. Not okay like their captain. Worse. They do not harm me. But they will kill you. I cannot kill them. Still, they are my crew. My family. Jaren. All of us. But you must do what you must do.
And now we explore the submarine and search for the warhead. Now he warns you ahead of time, saying that many of his former crew members are now feral ghouls wandering the sub. But in all honesty, I was disappointed with the number of feral ghouls we actually find here. I think I counted 6, maybe 7, not a whole lot. You do find skeletons all over the place. These are possibly Chinese soldiers who died when the submarine hit the mine, but counting all of the skeletons and all of the feral ghouls, we come up with a pretty small crew, 12, 13 people tops. Now Zao tells us that raiders have attacked him at the submarine before. Maybe some of the feral ghouls from the submarine escaped during some of those raider attacks. Who knows, but from what we find in the actual sub, it looks like it was undermanned. Heading down the stairs, we find the reactor control room. As we explore, we see some inconsistencies that are a little troublesome. First, the only Chinese thing in this sub is Zao himself. Everything else looks like it's part of an American sub. When we find warning signs, they're all written in English. When we access terminals, they all say Robco Industries, and they're written in English. The sailors have stockpiled all the same boxed foods that you find in Boston. I'm sure this is something we simply can overlook due to the necessity of in-game mechanics, but it would have been nice for Bethesda to put in the extra effort and really make this feel like a time capsule from an alien culture. Behind the reactor control room, we find Captain Zao's personal quarters. Here we see his Chinese officer's sword. Through the doors in the reactor room, and we enter the upper reactor level. As we explore the submarine, we find a "You Are Here" legend on the wall. It shows us how the submarine is split up into different rooms, and there's a red dot telling you where you're at. In the reactor room, you can go down the stairs, where we find a few ghouls and a locked door. Interestingly, the sub-legend on the wall in this room has the red dot outside the sub. So I guess you're outside the sub right now. The warhead we need is through this locked door, but if you don't have high levels of lockpicking, you can't get in. So we'll go back upstairs and go through the next room, which is the mess, the galley, and food storage. We see a whole lot of seats here, far more seats than 13 soldiers would actually need to eat. Attached to this room is a small, meager-looking kitchen. Next to the mess room is the crew's quarters. This room has a bunch of hanging military-style bunks. In the bunks, we find a whole lot of skeletons. Counting them up, there are 80 beds here. So this was a very large submarine where 80 people could sleep, and yet we only find a few corpses. So we must conclude that either it was understaffed or some of the ghouls escaped. In the crew quarters, we find the lavatories, a laundry room, and also the infirmary. In the infirmary, you can use a terminal to unlock a locked door where you can find some chems. From the crew's quarters, we can take a stairway down to the bottom level of the sub. Down here, we see some rooms filled with machinery. There's a workshop on the starboard side and a storage room. Next to the storage room, we can follow through a doorway to reach the armory. Here again, we can hack into a terminal to unlock a cage door, which opens up the armory, allowing you to loot all of the weapons and ammunition inside. Down the hallway at the end, we find a door that leads to the missile silo room. This room has more ghouls than the others, including a unique glowing one wearing a hat called First Mate. Here in the silo room, we find 6 missile silos, 3 on each side of the room. We notice that 5 of the 6 are all closed. These are the ones that deployed. This tells us that if the Yangtze was the only source of the nuclear detonations that hit Boston, then everything we see in the Commonwealth, all of the destruction, came from just 5 nuclear missiles. I suppose we could assume that more of them must have clustered up close to the glowing sea, since that place has such a huge crater, but some of the others must have hit elsewhere in the Commonwealth. At any rate, there is one silo that you can interact with. It has an access hatch that you can use. This is what we take back to Zao. From here, you can open up the locked door that leads to the lower level of the reactor that we explored earlier, or we can unlock a door to go up a stairway that leads us right to the reactor control room where we find Captain Zao.
No difficulty with the warhead, I trust.
Nah, no sweat. The radiation did give me superpowers, though. X-ray vision. Love the leopard G-string.
200 years, and your humor is still bad. America liberating Anchorage. Now that was a good joke. Now, here is what you must do. Head down to the reactor. Take dampening coil and warhead with you. First, insert the dampening coil. Carefully. 小心. Then, put warhead into the reactor. As you do that, I monitor power levels from the control room. Do not put warhead in first. Do that? 死亡. Death for you and me both.
So the key is to put in the dampening coil first before the warhead. Now, I tried many times to put the warhead in first before the dampening coil just to see what would happen. If you do, the entire sub shakes and you die.
No, you fool! Without the dampening coil, the reactor will explode! 爆炸!
The frustrating thing is that the game locks down player movement when this happens. So you just stand there. I'm not standing here because I want to look at the sights. The game has me stuck. I tried using chems to slow down time so that I could escape the sub, but no matter how many times I tried it, I never got out of the access hatch. So if you put the warhead in first, prepare to die. If, however, you put it in correctly, dampening coil first and then the warhead, you can go back to Zao and Zao rewards you.
Was not sure my beautiful Yangtze would hold together. But we did it. Here, payment Zao promised you. Plus, to show my thanks, I give you these, transponders. Each one acts as a homing signal for missile I can fire from my Yangtze. Only small, tactical nukes. But you should still get as far away as possible. Throw transponder like a grenade to activate it. Then wait for 爆炸. Kaboom.
Why would you let me use up your missiles?
I have no wish to bring weapons back home. I leave the fire here, and I owe you. Zao pays his debts. Besides, my missiles just might save your bacon.
I wish you a safe journey.
Many thanks. I look forward to seeing my Zhongguo soon. Soon I will set sail. You should get ashore. Farewell, American. I must admit, I have met worse capitalists.
The sword is not legendary, it's simply unique. It's just a Chinese officer's sword with a special name. Once done, you can go back to Donnie and tell him the news. You have a number of options ranging from telling him the boring truth to making up a more entertaining story.
Did you fight it? I didn't hear anything.
Where do you live?
Right here in the dock. In that room. My dad died a while back. Now I just fish for food and try to stay away from the mire larks.
It's a submarine, not a sea monster. Sorry, kid.
Really? Aw, nuts. Nothing exciting ever happens here.
What happened out there is none of your business.
Hey, I'm the one that showed it to you.
It swallowed me. I used a knife to cut its heart out.
Whoa, that's so cool. I wish I could have watched. You can't see it very well from here. Well, thanks for killing it, I guess.
Now, the homing beacons we get from Zao are interesting, but less than useful in my opinion. They work just like grenades. You push the button, and then you throw the homing beacon, and then the nuke is supposed to land on the beacon. However, in my testing, I find that the arc for the homing beacon is strange. You throw it, and then it appears to stop suddenly mid-air and then drop to the ground. This makes it tricky to get the homing beacon exactly where you want. Another thing to note is that the nukes always come from the north, no matter where you are. In this testing, I'm near the Kingsport Lighthouse, far north of where the Yangtze is in Boston Harbor, and yet when the nukes actually drop, they appear to be coming from the north. The bombs can also drop in a pretty wide area around where you place the homing beacon, but the range of the bomb doesn't compensate for this by being very large. If the bomb doesn't land on the raider's head, they're certainly not going to die, and they may not take any damage at all. So you've got to have pinpoint accuracy for this thing to be useful. In my testing, I never got the nuke to land in the same spot twice, even when I placed the homing beacon in the same spot many times. Additionally, you only get 3. If you go back to Zao, he doesn't give you any more. It's not like with Lorenzo Cabot. If you go back to Lorenzo, you can get more mysterious serum. That's not the case here. You can't get more of the homing beacons. So it's an interesting little tidbit. I'm glad it's here. It's fun, but it's not really practical. Honestly, the artillery cannon from the Minuteman line of quests, in my opinion, is much more practical. And that's really it. This is one of the few times in the game that we actually get a glimpse to the other side of the struggle. The game focuses so much about what went on in America after the war, but there's an entire other country that has its own lore in the Fallout universe. I, for one, would love to know what is going on in China right now. Did it get as destroyed as America did? What strange and crazy creatures have evolved over there? I would love to see more of China in future Fallout games. And as fun as this encounter is, it does leave me slightly disappointed. I wanted more. All in all, it's a rather short quest that seems like a vehicle just to get you to the Saugus Ironworks, which has a much more in-depth story. I would have preferred it if they spent a little bit more time making the Yangtze feel a little bit more Chinese, with more Chinese characters on the inside. Maybe a side quest that could give us a Chinese interpretation companion who could accompany us on this quest and translate everything inside the submarine. It would have been nice to gain access to some unique food supplements that were from China. A whole bunch of stuff like that would have made this encounter much more realistic, immersive, and interesting. I'm also disappointed that you couldn't tell Captain Zao that you were there the day his bombs dropped. We walk away from this encounter with him never knowing that you're over 200 years old just like he is, and that's a bit of a bummer. But it was still a whole lot of fun, and it's nice to see the world change after this quest. Once you complete this quest, Trevor in Diamond City Radio has a brief news spot on seeing the submarine going out to sea, and some of the guards in Diamond City, and I also think in Good Neighbor, often mention about seeing a ghoul whale. Now, I've looked and there's no ghoul whale in the game, but it's possible that they were repeating rumors that people had seen of the submarine. And you can imagine, if you've never seen or heard of a submarine in your life and you see this long, slender, whale-like looking thing in the ocean, your imagination could get the better of you, and a submarine could very easily become a ghoul whale over time. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the full story of the Yangtze submarine in Fallout 4. What did you think of this quest? And what did you tell Donnie once you discovered it? Let me know in the comment section below. I read all of your comments and I use your comments as inspiration for my future videos. If you'd like to chat with the Oxhorn community on our Discord server about this topic, be sure to click on the invitation link in the description below. And if you like what I do and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming one of my patrons on Patreon. Patreon subscribers get access to a private channel on my Discord server, as well as a bunch of other cool Oxhorn perks. But more than anything, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just so glad you're here watching this video today. Thank you for watching from the bottom of my heart, and I'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, with a brand new video.